The Indiana Fever season was supposed to be over weeks ago. Most predictions had them out of the playoff picture completely, buried under injuries, inconsistency, and the kind of chemistry issues that plague young rosters. But somehow here they are, defying expectations, pushing through the postseason, and suddenly standing one step away from the WNBA Finals. And now, out of nowhere, rumors are swirling that CaitlinClark could make a stunning return just in time for the biggest stage in the league. Sound far-fetched? Maybe. But there's more to this possibility than people realize. Welcome back to Hollywood Buzzing, where we dive into the stories that are shaking up the sports world. Today, we're unpacking a developing narrative that could change the trajectory of the WNBA playoffs. How a little-known rule might allow one of the league's brightest stars to return from injury and potentially flip the script on the entire postseason. Let's rewind a bit. Clark suffered a groin injury that was initially thought to have ended her season. Her absence was a massive blow, not just for the Fever, but for the WNBA as a whole. Her debut had been electric. Ticket sales soared. TV ratings spiked. She was more than just a rookie. She was becoming the face of the league. And then, just like that, she was sidelined, and most of us wrote off any chance of seeing her again this year. But now, weeks after the injury, speculation is building. Could the Fever be planning something bold? Is there a path for Clark to return for the finals? The answer lies in the technical side of the league's roster rules. Under standard WNBA guidelines, playoff rosters are locked in after the regular season ends. That means no last-minute signings, no hardship contracts, and no free agent reinforcements. But there is a clause, a tiny, often overlooked part of the collective bargaining agreement that might be the key. Teams are allowed to activate players already under contract, but previously listed as inactive due to injury, suspension, or personal leave. And that's exactly where Clark fits. She's not a free agent. She's still part of the Fever's roster. And that opens the door, if only slightly, for her to be activated, assuming the team makes the finals and has a valid reason to slide her into the lineup. It sounds complicated, because it is. But the implications are huge, especially considering this. Indiana only submitted 11 players for their playoff roster. That's one less than the maximum. Why would they leave that spot open? It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't oversight. Many believe it was strategic, a calculated risk to preserve the option of bringing Clark back if the timing worked out. Think about it. Most teams carry the full 12. There's no benefit in playing shorthanded unless you have something, or someone, waiting in the wings. That open slot may be the quietest, most telling move of the entire playoffs. It hints that the Fever front office never fully shut the door on Clark's season. Of course, this doesn't mean she'll return. Far from it. She hasn't been seen in full-speed practices. There's no official word on her conditioning, and groin injuries are notoriously tricky. One misstep, and it could mean a setback that affects her long-term career. So, it's not just a medical decision, it's a franchise-level gamble. Is it worth risking your future superstar's health for a shot at a title? Or is the smarter move to stay the course, ride the wave of momentum, and give her the full off-season to heal? There's no easy answer, but it's a conversation that's now impossible to ignore. And even though we're dealing with hypotheticals, just imagine what it would look like. Clark returning to the court under the lights of the WNBA Finals. Not just any finals, but potentially against the reigning champion Las Vegas Aces. Suddenly, a scrappy underdog Fever team gains a weapon that transforms their offensive identity. Without Clark, defenses sag in the paint, daring Indiana's guards to shoot. With her on the floor, the dynamic shifts. She forces defenders to stretch out to the perimeter, opening lanes for Aaliyah Boston and creating space for Kelsey Mitchell and others to operate. Her passing vision, her deep-range shooting, her swagger, it all changes the game. Even at 70%, Clark is a threat that opposing coaches have to account for. That's what makes this such a tantalizing scenario. From a basketball perspective, her presence reshapes the matchup. From a business standpoint, it's even bigger. The WNBA, knows what Clark brings. She's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. She puts fans in seats. She gets people talking. She drives jersey sales and brings in new viewers. The league has never had a star like her come along at this exact cultural moment, and they know the finals with Clark would be a ratings bonanza. So what happens if the Fever say she's ready? Does the league quietly approve it? Do they encourage it behind the scenes, hoping to capitalize on the surge in interest? Or do they play it safe and protect her long term, stepping in if they feel the risk is too high? That's the tricky part. This isn't just a basketball decision. It's a WNBA decision. It's about league optics, medical ethics, brand growth, and the responsibility that comes with managing the face of a growing product. It's also about what kind of message the Fever want to send. Are they willing to go all in for a chance at immortality? Or do they play the long game, keeping their core intact and building for a dominant future? Either way, the fact that we're even having this debate shows how extraordinary Clark's impact has already been. Few rookies in any league generate this level of conversation while recovering from an injury. And while the odds remain slim, the pathway is real. She's under contract. The team left the roster spot open. The recovery timeline is within the range for a groin injury. And if Indiana punches their ticket to the finals, you can bet this discussion goes from speculative to serious almost overnight. What would the return actually look like? It might be limited minutes at first. A few possessions in each quarter to gauge her comfort. Maybe used more as a decoy than a primary option early on. But even in that role, she creates chaos for opposing defenses. You can't leave her open. You can't sag off. And that ripple effect could free up shooters, energize teammates, and lift the entire team's confidence. Defensively, she may not be a lockdown presence, especially coming off injury. But her ability to start the break, make smart reads, and disrupt passing lanes with her anticipation could still provide value. And let's not ignore the emotional jolt it would bring. Clark stepping back onto the court in the finals would be one of those rare sports moments that goes beyond stats. It would be a statement about perseverance, ambition, and belief. It would galvanize fans, inspire younger players, and inject even more energy into a postseason that's already been thrilling. Still, the Fever must proceed with caution. This is a franchise cornerstone. They've got something special with this group: Boston, Mitchell, Sims, Howard, all rising to the occasion in Clark's absence. Team chemistry is delicate. One shift, even a positive one, can ripple through rotations, roles, and rhythm. That's part of the gamble, too. Is the potential upside worth the possible disruption? These are the kinds of questions GMs lose sleep over. But the open roster slot, the timeline of recovery, and Clark's own competitive nature all suggest this isn't just fantasy. It's something Indiana is at least considering. And who could blame them? Championships don't come around every year. Sometimes you have to take your shot, even if it's risky. From every angle, basketball, business, fan interest, Clark's return would be seismic. It would turn an underdog story into a full-blown sports epic. And if she helps the Fever pull off the impossible, that's legacy material. So here we are, caught between possibility and pragmatism, hope and hesitation. The rules allow it. The door is open. Now it's just a matter of whether Indiana decides to walk through it. Whatever happens, it's clear that CaitlinClark's influence extends far beyond her stat line. Her presence, even from the sideline, has continued to shape the narrative around this Fever team and the WNBA at large. If she returns, it could be the most unforgettable moment in the league's history. If she doesn't, this story still serves as proof that stars like Clark have already changed the game. So what would you do if you were the Indiana Fever? Would you roll the dice on a partial-strength Clark in the finals for a shot at glory? Or would you protect your investment and keep building toward the future? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for being part of the conversation here at Hollywood Buzzing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay locked in. We've got more stories coming your way.